Just taking the sharp edge off the top of the ridge here so that we can get down in there to the creek, or the head of the dam more accurately. It's less steep where he's aiming the boom, and just want to take that sharp edge off the very top. Well, having got to the head of the dam down the bottom of the hill there, his job here is to rake up all this gravel that's been washed down from the flood in February, and try and recover it all, because this is good stuff for the driveway and general fill around the place, and it's just taking up space and blocking the dam. Also got to move this tree out of the way that I dropped. It was just an old tree, and he's going to heap all the gravel there in that spot when he's got it all out of the water. Here's just a tad further up the creek or the valley from the dam, where it's coarser shale and gravel that I'm hoping to get out to, just to give me something a bit more solid and fill. So we'll scrape that into a separate heap. Now this gully that leads into the back of the dam is what feeds the water into the dam. All this stuff has just been washed from further up the valley, and I'll show you here as we go along here. This used to be just a full tangled jungle. You couldn't penetrate it with anything, but we had the flood rain in February really ripped everything out of every creek around here actually, and so now I got in and I could see that suddenly we had shale and gravel and everything heaped up here underneath all this long grass, which is extremely useful for the road maintenance, hence the digging. Knowing my luck, of course, it'll be just as likely for another flood to come tearing down the valley here and wash all this back into the water there. Wouldn't that be lovely? I think between these two piles of different sorts of gravel and shale, we should have the makings of some reasonable road base for the maintenance of the driveway. See if he struggles getting up the hill here. He's got a lot of mud in the tracks. He's just got to tidy up the grade on this little driveway, if you want to call it that. Just take the adverse camber off it. Yeah, just make this a little less steep and a bit more even, so that I can get up and down there with the tractor and trailer and the mower, etc., without too much tilting. This is a lot steeper than it looks here, so be interesting to see if he has any trouble getting grip, but he can always drag himself out with the boom. Lantana is one of those weeds which, whilst it's being relatively good for the soil, is very invasive, but it's easily managed with the mower or the tractor that I have now, except on a slope like this leading into the dam it's a bit dodgy, so having the excavator here to look after it and drag it up out of the water sort of thing and off the edges where I can't get to is a bit of a blessing. This is where I find all the junk, old rusty water tanks and polypipe irrigation that was left behind by the previous owner. The tank is obviously quite shot. I'll have to sort out the rusty metal from the lantana so I can burn the lantana, and I don't want the steel getting into the fire heap in case it hits the tyres on vehicles. But yeah, great way to clean up a messy area. One of the other advantages of having this excavator on site was to clean out the gravel that has washed down in the flood along the creek and get it up into the trailer, so again I can use it for road base sort of thing, but it was building up around the causeway pipes here, which is not a good thing, so this is great to get it all cleaned out. The weight, however, of this gravel in this trailer did prove to be a bit of a problem later on, come time to get it out. I had to shovel it out of the front of the trailer because it was so heavy, just until it would finally allow the hydraulics to lift it out. One last job for the excavator while it was here was to just clean out the spillway from my dam. It's quite a large dam, and the extra grass on this paddock here, which belongs to a neighbour, has actually sort of clogged the spillway, and it had diverted along the fence line, so the spillway, or the water from the spillway, was actually starting to chew away at the ground, and the fence line was disappearing into a big hole. This is the first bit of flame into this soggy mess of logs. Still quite a bit of moisture in there. There's one view of the monstrosity of a fire heap. It's only about 13 trees, 13, 14 trees in there, but sure adds up. Yeah, we just got to try and get the thing fired. There's not a lot of incentive after a bit of rain we've had to get it going. It'll sure start raging once it does start, but just for the moment it's a bit of a battle. Alright, well, after about half an hour of mucking around with wet grass and wet timber, we've finally got a bit of something happening in the middle there. It's starting to rage, which is good. And we hope it'll just keep on going. We get a big fire going in the middle and it'll all fall down, and then we'll start nipping away at the edges and push it in. And that's even down here, this blasted grass that we're supposed to be starting at is still soggy. So, time will tell. We'll check back in a few minutes. Yeah, this is the bit that gave it a bit of a boost. This is the right down to ground level. It's caught a bit of fire down here, and that's giving it the updraft to get it underway. Problem is there's a lot of stumps in here with a lot of clay and dirt attached to them, so just got to burn our way around it. There wasn't a lot of small stuff underneath the trees. Yeah, we have the local bushfire brigade here to help us out, make sure nothing gets out of hand. Got that little yellow Mercedes truck over there. Give you a bit of an idea of the size of it. I mean, the lens does push it away a bit and make it look smaller, but it's getting a bit hot to get that close. Here we go, it's starting to peep through the other side of the heap now. Won't be long and it'll crawl across here. Right in front of us here is the butt of a big root ball that's full of dirt, so we'll see what happens there. The fire's raging in the middle now, and it's starting to reach a little bit of the damp stuff on this side, so as soon as the smoke stops the flames will start. Now we can see right into the middle of it, and it's starting to generate its own heat, and the wind is coming from behind me at the moment, thank goodness, but we can see the ferocity of that updraft in the middle there. It's really starting to amount to something, so as that starts to collapse and the burned timber collapses down, all these ends will fall off and we'll start pushing them back in. Well, we're fortunate enough to have the local just in case van here, the Federal Bushfire Brigade, just in case it gets out of hand, but it's quite unlikely because the ground is very wet and it's quite an open paddock and the wind is not too bad today, so yeah, I can't see anything dramatic happening. Right, well, this is the slope where all those trees that are burning came from. They were all on this lower slope, which is now relatively clear, and it's up to me now to just pick up all the sticks and rubbish, and then I'll put a box blade on the back of the tractor and run across here with the rippers and just level out the high spots. But as you can see from the black wattle that are still alive, they're pretty scraggly looking blasted trees anyway. It's a pity they don't last a bit longer. Very messy. Of course, one of the problems I have at the moment is with the constant rain over the last 6 months or more, when it should have been dry all winter, the ground is soggy and it's very soft and the tractor just wants to disappear into the mud. I mean, might be able to see the consequences of having driven over it a few times here, and I had to give it away because it was getting to be almost stuck. So yeah, just got to wait for it to dry out. As I've been gathering up all the branches off the ground to make way, and putting the little stuff in a heap here. The bigger ones are going into the trailer here to go down onto the fire as it dies down, and then I'll use the grapple on the tractor to bring all the smaller stuff that you see littered on the ground down to the compost area, and I'll put them all through the wood chipper, because they with the black wattle I can go up to about probably 3 inches in diameter. It's a 6-inch diameter advertised wood chipper, but that's Canadian manufacture, so they're probably talking 6 inches of pine, which would be fine. But you try putting 6 inches of this stuff through and it just goes wham bang stop. But yeah, and of course these are the wood chips that will come from them. I've been raiding my heap lately for ground cover on the gardens and pathways, etc. Moments like these that cause me to install a carbide chain on the chainsaw instead of the normal steel one. This sort of stuff is pretty deadly to the sharp edges on anything with a little bit of charcoal, and particularly this bit where there could be anything in the crux of the tree. Well, today is quite a rainy day, but in between showers here I just wanted to show you. This is the back paddock that we've been clearing lately, and if you may, I may have shown it in earlier episodes that this was covered by quite a few dead trees. I think we took down about 12 or 13 dead trees. The old wattles only last so long and then die and hit the dirt. We had an excavator in, as you've seen, and this is the result. Now all we've got to do is get the grapple on the tractor and race around and clean up the sticks and twigs and things. Well, here it is. This is what's left of that monstrosity of a fire. The stumps here obviously were half full of clay and stuff, so they'll need more attention. Here on the left you'll notice that the biggest stump of all that caused us the most grief, I've started piling sticks and things up on that again so that we can burn the stumps out as best we can. A lot of these sticks and that I was going to shred in the chipper, but they'll serve a better purpose here to build a fire around the old stumps, and we'll gradually burn them down to nothing with this and ensuing fires. You'll see here, for instance, there's the base of this tree is about all that's left, and everything in the middle is just plain gone. Makes you wonder, with that many trees and such a big pile, how it all disappears. Yet another rain just to make it more interesting. This is the middle of the paddock and it's running. I'm getting very frustrated with it. Well, that's another project out of the way, and if you've enjoyed it, then please by all means hit the like button, the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'd love you to leave a comment below. It gives me a good idea of what's going on and what you think, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again, the next project, next episode. Thanks very much.